Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of CBD Talk Podcast. Tonight we have, or today, or whatever time it is where you are, we have with us Andrew Stepniak from CBD Lion. And I have to let you know a little secret. My technical skills failed me again, and I've already done this episode with Andrew and had to reshoot it because there was no audio of Andrew. So I am very grateful for him to join us again today. So for Andrew and I might forget if I've already asked you certain questions. So or assume halfway through the interview that you've already answered the question when I haven't asked it. So we'll see how this goes. But Andrew has a personal story, and that's one of the reasons that we're having him on today, because one of the things that I want to be able to provide is actually our testimonials and stories about how people have used CBD to help themselves. And by doing that, maybe it might be able to help you or someone that you love know different ways to start out on your path with CBD if you're not using it yet. And so tonight or today or whatever, we are going to talk about Crohn's disease, CBD and Crohn's disease. So please share this with friends or family that this may be able to help. And having said that, Andrew, how about you tell us how you started out on the road to CBD and how it's helped you.
All right. Well, yeah, basically 17 years ago when I was 20, I got diagnosed with Crohn's. And people that are not familiar with Crohn's, it's an autoimmune disease that just something triggers your immune system to actually attack your digestive tract. So what happens is your digestive tract gets all inflamed. Sometimes you get ulcers, and it's just excruciating pain in your stomach all the time. Sometimes you have to always constantly go to the bathroom a lot. You get ulcers. So basically, when I was 20, I got diagnosed, and first thing, like everybody does, is just get on pharmaceutical pills. And I tried pretty much almost every pharmaceutical in the book. Nothing seemed to alleviate any of my problems or anything like that besides prednisone. And prednisone being a steroid, my gastrologist didn't want me to take that every day. It's got really bad side effects. So there was a time I got hospitalized, and my gastrologist came and saw me, and she said, we're getting to the point where we just might have to surgically remove the infected area and everything like that. And, I didn't want that to happen, so I just started doing a lot of research. Now, I was always a cannabis smoker before I got diagnosed, while I got diagnosed. Smoking cannabis definitely did help with the pain and everything like that. But it wasn't until I started doing more research and I stumbled upon Simpson Oil. Rick Simpson pretty much made a documentary, which I found on YouTube. It was called Run from the Cure. And he explained how he got diagnosed with skin cancer, and he remembered hearing back in the 70s that THC killed cancer cells. And so he developed, I wouldn't say developed, it's, a common practice in the, chemistry field of how to extract what you want out of botanicals. And so he pretty much started extracting cannabis and getting cannabis oil, and then he would take the oil and apply it on his skin cancer, and then it would just slowly disappear. So
amazing.
Basically, not getting any relief from the pharmaceuticals. I just pretty much got a whole bunch of cannabis, did the same process, and I just put it in these empty gel capsules and swallowed them, and I started getting some relief. And it was kind of a big difference from smoking cannabis to actually eating cannabis.
And how many years ago was this when you were doing the Rick Simpson oil?
I would say probably 10 years ago.
So CBD really wasn't a thing back then.
Exactly. Yeah. So everything I had was high THC. So, you know, I was getting extremely high at the time. And, but
you weren't in pain either.
Exactly. So, you know, I started actually not decarbing the cannabis material to actually keep more THCA in it rather than converting it to THC. THC won't give you the psychoactive properties, but as you're...
I'm sorry, you just said THC won't, THCA won't.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It doesn't have the psychoactive properties behind it like THC does. So I was able to take more oil in and be able to tolerate, you know, through the day, you know, not walking around extremely high. So yeah, and then over time, I was able to get my med card here in Illinois. Actually, I became a lobbyist for Marijuana Policy Project, Illinois NORML. And before the bill even passed, I was a lobbyist and did a lot of work, wrote letters to the editor, went down to Springfield, Illinois, and would talk with all the politicians, tell them, hey, you know, I'm a big cannabis consumer, and because I consume cannabis, I could actually, you know, be a productive member of society. I could hold down a job, you know, and it just made my life so much better. And it finally passed. It took like probably, I think, 2.5 years to actually get all the votes. Illinois doesn't have a ballot initiative, so if we want anything passed, it's got to pass through our Congress. So,
well, and that right there is a good thing for people to hear as well. For those that are in states that cannabis is not legal in yet, you know, just keep doing it. Don't give up.
Most of the states that have first passed medical or recreational are all states with ballot initiatives. That's where, you know, the people, the citizens could actually, you know, collect enough signatures to get their own, you know, bill into Congress. And, you know, but unfortunately it's not like that here in Illinois. You know, one of the Congress members has to write the bill, and then it has to go to a committee to actually get passed, and then they got to find sponsors, and then, you know, they got to get other people on board, at least 60 people to vote yes on it. So yeah, I mean, it finally passed. Governor Quinn invited me to the signing along with other patients that were big lobbyists for the program, and then just through networking with all those people, ended up working in the industry, the medical cannabis industry, worked in the lab making oils, and, you know, basically having my med card, I had access to higher CBD strains. So, and this was like probably 4 years ago. So, you know, CBD finally starting to get, you know, recognized, and more growers were starting to breed it back in, and we were starting to get different ratios of CBD. So
when you got your card and then you had access to higher CBD strains, so did you start by smoking the flower, or did you use tinctures, or what was the first thing that you used to help with your Crohn's on the CBD side?
Just basically, I stick to oil.
Okay.
I knew that oil definitely, you know, helped me out the most. And I remember watching something, and Tommy Chong developed prostate cancer, and his doctor recommended using oil as well. But he said, you know, his doctor told him that you always want to get the oil as close as possible to the affected area. So
makes sense.
You know, so then I started, you know, just swallowing these empty capsules that I filled with oil. You know, the RSO would come in a little syringe, and then I would just squirt like probably 2 pieces the size of a grain of rice inside the capsule, and then just, you know, drink it down. And yeah, things started getting better. And the high THC oil did help tremendously, but it wasn't until I started doing like a 1-to-1 ratio, equal amount of THC to CBD, is when I started feeling really good results. And I remember reading a PubMed paper back in the day, how CBD will actually block THC from hitting on your CB1 receptor and force it to start working on your CB2 receptor. So reading the PubMed paper and finding out that, you know, your CB2 receptors are all located throughout your immune system. Me having an autoimmune disease, having an overactive immune system, I'm sure the THC and the CBD were working on the CB2 receptors and trying to correct my immune system instead of, you know, calming it down. And so the longer I started taking the 1-to-1 oil, things started speeding up really fast. I started playing around with 2-to-1 oil, so 2 parts CBD, 1 part THC, and then eventually went to a 20-to-1 where it was 20 parts CBD to 1 part THC.
And you've got no high there.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and yeah, basically I've been symptom free for about 3.5 years now. So, I have my life back to what, you know, I felt like before I got diagnosed. I can eat whatever I want. You know, I only have like 1 bowel movement a day compared to like maybe 10 to 15 when I was really sick. I've gained my weight back, you know, so I got down to 125 when I was really sick. So now I'm back up
terrible.
to 165. So yeah, I mean, life is good now, you know, no more depression or anything like that. So, and I really don't consume THC, you know, not as much as I used to. Occasionally, you know, I might eat a gummy and right before I go to bed so I could get some good sleep in. And but pretty much to maintain my healthiness now, it's just pure CBD. So, you know, I usually take about 60 milligrams a day, sometimes 100, you know, so, and that just seems to work for me. So anybody with Crohn's disease, you know, this is something that like I really strongly advise you to actually look into, do some research on your own before you start. You know, I know there's a lot of other people with Crohn's that have the same success story as me.
I have that's Crohn's is one of the diseases that you hear a lot of success stories about when it comes to CBD and cannabis. And that's why I'm really excited to be able to have you on to talk about it, because it is definitely something that, you know, you can say anecdotal all you want, you can throw that word out all you want, but when you have thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, and you're like, oh my God, my life has changed, there's, you know, that speaks volumes. So
yeah, I mean, one thing, when I first got diagnosed, you know, I had a colonoscopy, and, you know, my gastrologist gave me pictures of it, and it just looked horrible. You know, my intestines looked really bad. And, you know, I took my second colonoscopy because in order for me to get my medical card here in Illinois, my doctor actually had to approve everything. And that's where my gastrologist kind of leveraged me and said, you're due for another colonoscopy. If you do another colonoscopy, I'll sign you up for this medical card program. I said, okay, that's fine. And, you know, my second colonoscopy, I quit taking the pharmaceuticals years before that, and was just using cannabis oil. And I remember my gastrologist waking me up after my colonoscopy, and the first thing I said was, so how did everything look? And what came out of her mouth was, I'm signing you up as soon as possible. I can't believe it. I can't find anything wrong. Okay.
Oh my God.
So yeah, then she gave me pictures of that, and I was always on the Facebook Crohn's disease forums,
Mm-hmm.
and I posted up my before and after pictures, and literally for one whole week, I was just getting messages left and right from the people on the Facebook Crohn's disease forums, just asking, how did you do that? Where can I get medical cannabis? Or and yeah, so back then you couldn't really mention cannabis because it was still kind of like a hot topic.
Mm-hmm.
And now when you go on those forums, you start seeing people asking questions like, oh, does CBD work, does cannabis work? And
Mm-hmm.
you just read the comments and everybody's
The
just like,
story's out.
yeah, the cat's out of the bag. And it's a good sight to see that people are starting to find alternative medicine that's got benefiting more than the pharmaceuticals that they're taking.
Yeah, and I'm so thrilled that you had a gastroenterologist that was willing to work with you, because time and time again you hear about doctors who have literally fired their patients because of using cannabis.
Yeah, I lucked out. She was really nice, and I told her I smoke cannabis, and she says that's fine. There's research that shows that it helps,
Mm-hmm.
But at the time things were illegal, so
Mm-hmm.
and when she found out I wasn't refilling my pharmaceuticals, she actually called me into the office, and I told her I'm taking cannabis oil, and she's like, she's like, me as your doctor,
Mm-hmm.
I have to support you.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me feel good inside, because she's not trying to talk me out of it,
Mm-hmm.
but she's there as a doctor to support me.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps out tremendously.
I gotta tell you, that's a rare find right
Yeah,
now.
and then after I got my med card, and she called me in for another checkup, and she actually got her husband on CBD oil. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
great. There is hope.
there is. Yeah, sometimes, unfortunately, the politicians are far behind the people, and sometimes the
Mm-hmm.
doctors are far behind the people. So
Until they see someone like you.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing, is so many times, and with the politicians and the medical professionals, and whether it be human or veterinarian, there's all anyone in the medical field, until they see with their own eyes, a lot of times they don't believe. And
Exactly.
it doesn't matter about the studies or this or that, because, oh well, the studies weren't done in America, or this, that, or the other. They'll gladly issue you a prescription for a pharmaceutical, because the pharmaceutical companies have studies that they have paid for themselves to show what they want to show. But wow, your doctor is one of a kind, and I wish her all the best in the world. And I hope that your story, when it comes to your relationship with your doctor, changes from being one in a million to an everyday occurrence.
Yeah, and people asked who was my gastrologist, people with Crohn's,
Mm-hmm.
and because they would tell me their doctor was against it when the medical program started.
Mm-hmm.
Sign them up for it,
Mm-hmm.
so I definitely push people towards her.
Yeah.
I said she's a great doctor, so
And she's seen with her own eyes with your colonoscopies, and you made a
yeah,
believer out of her. So,
yep,
but if you hadn't had the conviction to do what was right for you, and to listen to your body and move forward, then she never would have come to that conclusion. So good on you. So you helped her, and now she's helping hundreds and hundreds and hundreds more. So
yep.
yay, Andrew. All right. So we have not talked on the show before about Rick Simpson or Rick Simpson Oil. So I want to ask you to share information about you already talked about how he started and what he did, but there's more to it than his experience with his skin cancer and how he helped himself, because he has helped a lot of people. Now, I do want to say, make sure that we understand that this is actually, Rick Simpson oil is not a specific strain. It's not a specific combination of cannabinoids. It's like a process or a method.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
go ahead and let's get some education. This is going to be a great episode. We're going to talk about so many awesome things. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you, Dawn, for giving me the opportunity. So yeah, Rick Simpson is a Canadian, and like I said earlier, he developed skin cancer, and he had it surgically removed the first time, I believe, and it came back. And so the second time it came back, he remembered hearing that THC kills cancer cells. So he acquired a lot of cannabis, and then he pretty much used the solvent to strip away the cannabinoids off the plant. So in the end, when you boil off the solvent, you're left with this thick paste oil substance, and that's the cannabis oil. So basically, he just rubbed it on his skin cancer. Over time, it slowly went away. So people actually heard about what he did because he was really vocal and would tell everybody what happened when he rubbed cannabis oil on his skin cancer. So out of nowhere, people were starting to show up at his house, people that were stage 4 terminally ill cancer patients that, hospitals turned away, said, there's no more that we could do for you. And he started giving cannabis oil to these cancer patients. And, these people were definitely, getting good success out of it. Some of them were, definitely living longer. And I've heard stories of cancer actually going into remission. And, so he started getting a following and made a documentary called Run from the Cure to kind of explain everything he was going through and experiencing. And he ran into legal troubles with the government and everything like that. And then, he got invited by High Times, I believe, to the Amsterdam High Times Cup to get the Freedom Fighter Award of the Year. And when he was in Amsterdam, his house actually got raided. And then I believe he just decided to stay in Europe. So,
yeah.
But yeah, he developed a process. He really didn't develop it because it's very common practice to use solvents, to certain botanical essential oils. But he kind of mainstreamed it.
Yeah.
And so it's called RSO oil, meaning Rick Simpson oil. There's also another name for it. It's called fecal oil, I believe. So, but yeah, that process has definitely turned a lot of people onto it, and a lot of people are using it. So,
and a lot of people are having amazing success with it.
Yeah. So but yeah, now that you got different CBD THC strains, different ratios, you can now get your 20-to-1 oils, your 10-to-1 oils, 4-to-1, 2-to-1, whatever you feel fits you best. So
it's like the industry took the information that he provided so openly, and it's not like he did some proprietary, like, oh, I'm going to trademark, I'm going to get a patent on this process. No, he was there to help anyone who asked, and he showed people how to do it. He made it mainstream, like you said, and the industry has benefited greatly off of all the work that he did to bring it to
and he didn't charge anybody. Everything he did was for free. So that was another good thing that he was doing. So
amazing, absolutely amazing. Okay, so we talked a little bit about CBD and THC. So the next thing I want to move into is terpenes. And can you explain to people what terpenes are, and then give us some examples of what some different terpenes do?
Terpenes are essential oils. They're found in plants. They're found in fruits. And, so one example of a terpene is pinene. Okay. Pinene is also found like in pine needles and stuff like that. So there's a saying that, like, if you're feeling depressed, go take a walk in the woods. That meaning is you're breathing in actually, small amount of actual pinene that's, evaporating off during the day in the sunlight in the woods. And just breathing that in has antidepressant properties. Another terpene is limonene. Okay, that could be found in citrus rinds. And limonene is shown also to help with depression, anxiety.
I think that the lemon oils, like if you use aromatherapy type of things, the citrus oils are ones also that people use to energize themselves a little bit. And that's why I just really, like if I'm cleaning my kitchen or something, I'm always using a lemon flavored or orange flavored because it keeps you going. It just
exactly, yeah. So that's kind of good for during the day. You got your essential oils that are also good for nighttime. So I'm sure people, some people use oil diffusers and they use lavender. Okay, so linalool, actually, people will actually diffuse that to kind of,
does that come from lavender?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you could actually diffuse that and it'll kind of make you a little bit tired. It's got sedative properties in it. Terpene called myrcene. It's found in hops. It's found in mangoes. That has sedative properties in it as well. It's got myrcene's also great for any type of inflammation. It's good for any type of pain, and it even has antioxidant properties in it. So
combining these terpenes with CBD,
So CBD by itself actually is mental alertness. It causes mental alertness. So, but if you take too much CBD, that'll actually make you tired. But, CBD is expensive. So if you were to take myrcene and mix it up with CBD, the CBD and the myrcene, the myrcene will actually help pass the blood-brain barrier a lot faster and quicker. So you start feeling the CBD a little bit quicker, and then it'll actually make you tired.
Nice.
So, THC or CBD, by themselves, it's the same molecule. You should get the same effect all the time. But when you actually introduce a certain terpene profile is going to help dictate on how that THC or CBD is actually going to have different effects on you. So,
and that's why people talk about full spectrum or using the whole plant, and because then you're getting those terpenes and you're getting also the minor cannabinoids and all that, and that's the whole quote unquote entourage effect.
Exactly. So and then that's actually when people talk about cannabis, about sativa and indica, all the indica strains are really heavy dominant in myrcene or linalool. So that's definitely, going to give you more of that sedative effect and that couch lock that they say, so. But
that explains it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So then on the opposite side, so the indica would be more of the like the citrusy and the
sativa's going to have more pinene in it, more limonene. So.
Oh, that makes sense. That's awesome. All right, so the next obvious thing to talk about, and one of the reasons why I was really happy to have you on the show is how CBD Lion uses terpenes in their products. So I had started a conversation, Andrew and I had started a conversation a while ago, and he had provided me with some samples because I wanted to try out his product. And he's got he's got an amazing product. And one of the things that I ramble on and on and on and on, episode after episode, about is testing. And CBD Lion is one of the companies, which is why I wanted to have them on here, because I really want to be able, people ask me all the time, what do you recommend? Who should I go to? And I had another email this week. I really need you to recommend blah, blah, blah. And like, here's what I can do for you. I can point you to my episodes. If someone is on my episode, and I have actually tried their product, it's a good product, and go to those people. I'm not going to say, go to this person, go to that person, go to this, the people I have on here, I have them on because they're knowledgeable, as you can tell, and because they're ethical, and they're doing things for a specific purpose. They're doing things to help people, and they're doing it right. And let's see, this is one of his gummy packages. On his packaging, you will see a QR code that will take you to the test results. And there was just another article out this week that, and who was it? Was it NBC, Andrew? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I believe it was down in Florida, Miami, and NBC bought a lot of products being sold in the stores today. And then they covered up the labels, sent them to their own testing facility, and they found that a lot of people are still, not claiming the proper CBD amounts inside, the product. So some of the
or as I say it, people are lying about what's inside their product. Because Andrew is a little bit nicer about that than I am.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, working in the medical cannabis industry, everything had to be tested. And
so for those of you who didn't know, Andrew used to work in the medical cannabis industry, and he made the switch over to CBD. And so that background is actually very important here.
Yeah, so, testing's no problem. We're very used to it over here. So, and, we wanted to come out with the QR code so our customers could scan it with an app on their phone, and it'll just bring you right to our lab test results page on our website. So you would just pick the product that you bought, and then you would see the test results. Just recently, we just implemented batch numbers. So, we're narrowing everything down. So you'll get a batch number on the product, and then you scan the code, you find that batch number, and then you'll have the test results right there, proving that, say you bought our 500 milligram tincture, that it's going to have 500 milligrams of CBD in it.
Yeah.
So,
and that is important.
Exactly. Because, right now it's a booming industry, and there's snake oil out there. And, when people buy a product for the first time to try CBD, and it doesn't work for them because there's no CBD in it or just trace amounts, they're going to get discouraged, and they're just going to be like, well, it didn't work for me, you know? So, so we want people to feel comfortable using CBD. And, when we were talking about terpenes, we came out with this little terpene chart.
Is that on your website as well?
Yeah, you can find that on our website. We have a brochure as well that we give to all of our accounts and to hand out for free to customers. So,
and by the way, for those who are listening and not checking show notes and things like that, I will have the website in the show notes, but it is cbdlion.com.
Yeah. So, the terpene chart will help certain people with different type of ailments pick the right terpene profile. So if, like, an example would be if somebody's having trouble with sleeping because they have insomnia or have so much pain at night that they can't sleep, we recommend our flavors that have high amount of myrcene in it. So an example would be blueberry. Blueberry vape would be good for people with that type of ailment, to help them actually fall asleep, rather than, trying something that's got a little bit more pinene in it, because that'll actually kind of keep you awake.
Right. So I'm holding up the battery powered vape pen with a blueberry cartridge in it. So for those of you who are new to this, if you have, I would say most of the vape pens will take a 510 cartridge, or a lot of, yeah. And so all you have to do is you just buy the cartridge and you just screw it in. It's just that easy. And they also have disposable pens, which I rambled on about when we did this last one that I didn't have good audio on, about how the disposable ones, if you're working with people with dementia, Alzheimer's, or senior citizens, that you need something simple, the disposable pens are amazing because all they have to do is just suck on it, and there's a window in the side of it. I must have given mine away because I have no idea where it is, which I have a tendency to do. But you can see when the oil's running out on the disposable. It's just a wonderful way to help get CBD into the elderly without them being confused on how to use it or anything like that, especially if they used to be a smoker. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the pen's great for people trying CBD or vaping for the first time, because you don't need to buy anything else, no batteries.
Exactly.
Just buy the pen. It's draw activated, so once you start puffing on it, it's gonna start vaping for you, and then the little window's gonna let you know when the oil's out, and then you just toss it.
Mm-hmm. Now, how many different terpene profiles do you have in the disposable one? I know you have the lemon one, you've got the strawberry, you've got blueberry.
Right now we have 8 total.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we're actually working on another 2, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks we'll have those out.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And so, what are those 2? What kind of things or profiles are you focusing on for those 2?
The next 2 flavors that we're coming out with, what we noticed is people really like fruits.
Mm-hmm.
So we're coming out with a grape kush and a watermelon OG.
Oh, nice. And here's a great thing also that I mention a lot, and I know that CBD Lion participates in, is call them. When you're buying product from somebody, from a company, talk to them and tell them what it is that you need or what you're looking for, and let them guide you. They cannot recommend, but based on like symptoms for FDA necessarily, and I'll have Andrew touch on some places where you can do a little bit of research on that, but definitely call them, have a conversation. He may be able to say, oh yeah, well, if you're looking for something with myrcene, if you're looking for something that matches this terpene profile, this terpene, what this does, here are some products that lend to that. And but if you cannot talk to your not dispensary, but to the manufacturer, then I say don't buy their products.
Yeah, so it's a good thing you mentioned that, Dawn, because I get a lot of phone calls. Everybody here we all take phone calls from everybody interested in buying our products. We try to answer their questions to the best we can. There's being a CBD company, we can't really make any federal claims, so. Mm-hmm. Somebody calls up and is like, can CBD help my arthritis? You can't really go near that question,
Right.
And the best you could tell them is just do some research, read some PubMed papers, join some forums, and read other people's success stories, Mm-hmm. So that's good, because you want the people actually doing the research themselves, because there's abundance of information that they're going to stumble across, and they're going to read all these reviews or success stories, and it's just going to open their eyes to CBD.
And I would say read a lot of them, because there are going to be a bunch out there that are just people touting their own brands.
Yeah.
And so you need to try to find, which is one of the reasons why we do the podcast, is we want to provide a place where people can get information. Like when Andrew was talking about his Crohn's disease, not once did he mention his brand. Not once did he talk about, oh, hey, get our 500 milligram tincture, get our, this or that. He talked about CBD in general.
Yeah, and I always tell people, like, you don't have to specifically buy my brand, but if you are going to buy CBD, the most important thing is look to see if they have lab test results on their website or somewhere,
Yes.
and that's the most important thing. I really, I just want people to find alternative medicine and start getting their quality of life back. And if they want to use CBD Lion products, great. If they don't, that's fine as well. Just, I don't want them to get turned away by CBD by using somebody's product and there was no CBD in it.
Exactly. And with respect to PubMed, so for those of you who don't know what PubMed is, and honestly, Andrew, there are a lot of people who have no idea what you're talking about. That website is provided by the National Institute of Health, NIH. And so when you go into, is it pubmed.gov or?
Yeah, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, you can just Google PubMed. Trust me, I'll take you there. And so when you go into this website, it's, gosh, I think because I did an episode on what what we want our doctors to know. I think just on searching the endocannabinoid system, there were 5,000 articles just with the endocannabinoid system specifically. So there's tens of thousands when it comes to cannabis, tens of thousands of articles. But this site is not about cannabis. It's about all medical studies, articles, reviews, and pharmaceutical companies put things in there. I mean, this is a National Institute of Health, basically compendium of all things health related.
Yeah. And, a little tip for people that want to start doing research, when you go in the Google search bar, type in cannabidiol instead of CBD.
True.
Or type in cannabinoids and say, cannabidiol for arthritis. And that's when the PubMed papers are going to start coming up. Or like Dawn was saying, go on pubmed.gov. But if you type in CBD and arthritis, everything that's going to come up are just CBD companies and stuff like that. And then you just got to really start searching through everything. So it all depends on how tricky or clever you get in the Google search bar is when you're going to start seeing a lot more stuff come up. So
good point. That is a very good tip. Very good tip. So, okay. So I want to get back to what CBD Lion provides. So they have what's really great is that, and we've talked about this in prior episodes, there are a lot of methods to get CBD into your system. There's inhaling, there's ingesting, there's topicals. I mean, there are a lot of different ways to use cannabidiol. And so I'm not sure if you hear the planes. I forgot that I live by a small private airport. Sometimes we hear the planes go by. So here are some of the gummies that CBD Lion has. Now, these are the 500 milligram. This is we've got orange and strawberry here. Actually, orange and strawberry right here, just to show you. And their products are in child-resistant containers because that's important. Also, these are really, really good. Like really good, and you don't want your kids getting in there and eating the whole thing because they will go fast asleep. So we kind of want to stay ahead of the curve. We know, FDA will probably start,
implementing regulations after the Farm Bill passed, and definitely, so we got child safety caps for the gummies. We got the tamper-proof droppers for the tinctures. So yeah, we always kind of want to stay ahead of the curve, and you know, if there is regulations that do come out, we already want to be in place for all that. So
Yeah. Also, you mentioned the tincture. Here's here's the dropper on the tincture, and you probably cannot. You probably see some little lines, but what you might not realize is that the lines demarcate the quarter, half, 3/4, and 1 mil lines on here. So it makes it easy for you to be able to measure what you're taking, because a lot of times, and it's all good. I mean, it's all good, however you use it. But it's when someone says put 15 drops under your tongue, well, if it's under my tongue, I can't see it while I'm putting it under my tongue, and so I have to get to a mirror and drop it that way. Other companies will just specify take a dropper full, which is a lot easier than telling me how many drops to count, because I'm not that talented. But this is really great because you can specifically measure how much you're getting and track that. And that's important because you want to keep a journal. You want to write things down so that you know what you're taking and how much you're taking. And then if you start titrating up, you can track your progress and help yourself find that sweet spot. Because I can tell you, Andrew didn't just one day go, I know that I specifically need 60 milligrams to 100 milligrams of CBD per day. We did a lot of experimenting to find that.
Yeah. And, that's probably one of the number one questions we get, via email or phone call is, I bought your tincture. How much do I take? And since there isn't too much research already on dosaging, everything's all going to be trial and error. Everybody's going to have to experiment. What might be good for me might not be good for Dawn. Everybody's pain tolerance is different. What they're trying, what kind of ailments they have that they're trying to, help out, alleviate with. Everybody's endocannabinoid system is, deficiency is different. So when it comes to dosaging, we always just recommend that you start low and increase slowly until you find the desired effects you're looking for. So, and when you were talking about the dropper, that's the perfect way to actually, titrate yourself to the point where you're actually feeling what you want to feel. So if you bought the 500 milligram tincture and you filled the dropper up all the way, filling it up all the way should be about 1 mil. And if it's the 500 milligram, 1 mil is going to be about 16 milligrams. So, I mean, that's a kind of a good starting point for somebody, and drop it on your tongue. And the most important thing is, try to hold it underneath your tongue for a while.
And why is it underneath your tongue?
Well, underneath your tongue, you're going to have a lot of mucous membranes, and keeping it there actually will get into the bloodstream a little bit faster and quicker. And I mean, a lot of people don't like doing that, obviously. Our tinctures are flavorless. All it is just MCT oil and CBD isolate. So it really doesn't taste like much.
Yeah. And I have to say that's one of the things that I like about that most is it's easy to combine with a drink or put in your food or something like that, especially if you're working with children or pets.
Yeah.
Because
so
I can tell you pets are picky, especially cats.
Yeah. If you're a big protein shake smoothie person, you could easily drop a full dropper in there and you won't even taste it. So you just go on through your day and you got CBD into your system now. So.
And I also want to mention FDA because we've just mentioned the FDA a few times. So with a farm bill, it reinforced that the FDA has oversight over the use of CBD. Now they have already issued a GRAS, generally regarded as safe, status for hemp seed and hemp seed husks and hemp seed oil without CBD, but they've been specific about using CBD in food and that whole area. So what you'll see a lot of is you'll see people putting hemp oil on their labels sometimes instead of CBD, and this is really why we also emphasize you need to see lab results. But so there have been raids on stores in certain states, because some states are more backwards than others, where they have taken product and arrested people, literally arrested people and such. The owners, not the people who are buying it, but the owners of the store that are selling it. And so that has tied a lot of hands. Because of that, products or manufacturers cannot make health claims. And I get that because there's no studies. But should this be regulated more as a dietary supplement, that would free people's hands a little bit when it comes to what they are disclosing and what they're saying. You can have the disclaimer, these results have not been verified by the FDA, et cetera, et cetera. But unfortunately, because of the bad actors that we have in our industry, because of the people that are making claims saying that CBD can cure this, that, the other, CBD isn't curing that. CBD is helping your body to communicate with itself so that your body can heal.
Exactly.
So I just want to make that clarification and explain why the FDA bit ties people's hands. For Andrew to answer the phone and say, oh yes, for Crohn's disease, you need to take this many milligrams, this many times a day, and then do this and do that and do this and do that. He's acting as a medical professional. And he can risk the livelihood of everyone in his company by doing that. So don't be upset with with the manufacturer of your product if they are trying to help you do some research as well. It's not like they're asking you to do their job or anything. They're making sure that they can continue to do their job and that they can continue to help people. It's not that they don't want to tell you, oh my God, such and such is great for such and such. They would love to. It would make them so happy to be able to tell you that, for example, because I'm not repping any company here. When I, it was about 3 or 4 years ago, where I was helping a company with their marketing, and the owner of the company, why he started his company was because he had rheumatoid arthritis and they were going to put him on the infusions. One of the side effects of the infusions is leukemia. So his daughter's like, Dad, please, just try it. He got onto CBD and CBD only, no THC, CBD, and his symptoms within, I think it was like 3 or 4 months, went away. As long as he continued on his CBD, no symptoms, symptom-free. His immune system stopped attacking him.
Exactly,
so,
yeah.
But there are tons of these things out there. But what we say is do the research and then go, like Andrew said, go to find the groups in Facebook and other places like that and listen to the people talk about what worked for them. And if you see someone, and most of these groups are very specific that you cannot mention a specific brand. And those are the groups that I would recommend.
Yeah. Actually, some of that same arthritis medication, like the Humira infusions and stuff like that, since it's arthritis is autoimmune disease, they actually started doing the same thing for Crohn's, just using the same medications, so.
Terrible.
Yeah, I remember going to the hospital monthly just to get my blood drawn and get my white blood cells counted because, taking these pharmaceuticals would literally shut down your immune systems and you're more susceptible to getting sick, so you always kind of have to make sure you have enough white blood cells in your system, stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's great that more and more people are just turning on to CBD because, we do a lot of product demos, seminars for our accounts here in the local Chicagoland area. And, we're starting to see a lot of the younger kids bring in either their grandparents or their parents and turning them onto CBD. So, it's really good to see. Like, we've had probably like a 70-year-old person actually try some of our concentrate shatter. And by the time they exhaled the CBD smoke, they were just like, wow, I can't believe that. It feels good, So,
Yeah, it's amazing. And I've read in several areas where seniors are the biggest concentration of users for CBD or cannabis as a whole. And as I think, so when I hit 50 a couple years ago, that made me eligible for AARP. So I think I'm officially a senior now. So I can say that it works. And especially for like people like my mother who are in their late 70s or even older, there's really no age group that is immune from the beneficial effects of CBD. It helps your body help itself best. So, all right. So anything, can you think of anything that we missed?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything. So
any parting words of wisdom for people? What do you want people to remember?
Just kind of pretty much what we talked about. Just do research on your own and read PubMed papers. If you're going to buy CBD products, make sure that they have third-party lab results on their website, or where you can access them. So what you're getting is a nice, safe, clean, effective product. That's the most important thing. If we get one person to get turned on to CBD, that's an accomplishment, so.
And if you tried it before and it didn't work, try it again with a company that provides test results. And talk to the manufacturer. Exactly. There may be a better method. Like, for example, when Andrew was just talking about the older gentleman that tried shatter, there are certain methods that go better with certain ailments. And so talk to somebody who's knowledgeable and try it again, because you may have been very misled.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And I hope that you got a lot out of this episode. We covered quite a bit between the terpenes and the Crohn's and the RSO. Always grateful to have someone knowledgeable like Andrew join us to share their information. And until the next episode, stay happy.
Can I mention one other thing?
For sure.
For the listeners that are interested in trying CBD Lion products, if you put in CBD Talk in all capital letters in a coupon code, we'll give you 10% off. So
nice.
CBD Talk, all capital letters.
Okay, and I'm going to make my personal recommendation that the gummies are amazing. And if you have not done any vapes, I would recommend getting a disposable vape pen. That's my personal recommendation, but everything they have is awesome. Yeah,
and we got eight flavors to pick from, so I'm sure you'll find one that definitely hits on your palate. So
definitely.
Soon another 2 coming out shortly. So
I wouldn't wait for those other 2 to come out, though. Just go ahead and get what you get. He's got a great selection. So, all right, everybody. Thanks again. We'll see you next week. Stay happy, stay healthy. And Andrew, always a pleasure, and I look forward to having you on again.
Thank you again, Dawn.
Bye, all.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.